there, my name is Melissa. I work at Duke Farms. I'm the coordinator of our community garden, which is a 5-acre garden basically with about 500 people that are growing food there. So it's a super duper fun place to work. Today I am going to teach you how to grow your own garlic. Garlic is something that we grow a lot of in the community garden. It's really easy and really easy to do just in your own backyard. If you have a small spot of soil that you can go to, it's really fun to do. And now in the fall, October, November, even into December is the best time of year here in New Jersey to plant garlic. So it's the only thing really, the only kind of gardening, the only kind of planting that we're doing here in the fall in New Jersey. So let me talk to you about the soil and where I'm gonna plant the garden. We're at my home garden here, and I grow food in raised beds, which means that the soil that I grow in is higher than the soil on the ground. These beds were built about 10 years ago, and all that you do to build a raised bed is basically start on the regular raised ground. If you have grass, that's fine. You can actually just dig it up and kind of flip it over, and then you can kind of add maybe a little bit of soil, a little bit of compost, and you're ready to start growing. You don't even need wooden edges really. You can just kind of mound up the soil. Mounding up the soil or having a raised bed is a good way to grow because you can tell where your food is and you're not gonna accidentally step in there. It's really important not to step where you're growing your food because that's gonna kind of compress down the soil. So I want you to take a look at the soil that I have here today. You can see it's nice and loose. We can dig around in here, and that means that the roots are going to be able to reach right down and get all the food and water and nutrients that they need in order to grow. If you tried to grow in soil that was really tight and didn't have a lot of air space and water space, it would be really hard to grow, and your plants would probably be really small and pretty sad. You can also just get a pot. If you don't have any spot that has nice soil at your house, you can get a pot and just buy soil from the store and start with a small garden just in one pot in your backyard. And there's a lot of stuff that you can grow just in that pot. So this garden bed, if you want to take a look up here, actually had beans growing this year. So here's like a string bean that's growing, and there's a few left on here. Usually by this time of year, they're all dried and dead. But it's been a little bit warmer than normal this year, so the string beans are kind of still growing. I had a second row of beans here, but I've gone ahead and removed them from this area because I knew I wanted to get my garlic in here, but I figured I would leave a few growing. So what I did to prepare the soil is I removed all the old plants, the bean plants, right? This is kind of what they look like when they're dried and dead. I loosened up my soil a little bit, which means I just kind of dug around. I used a pitchfork actually, but you can use a shovel or a small shovel like this, and you just want to loosen it up to make sure, again, that it's nice and loose so that water can flow right into there and that there's also air. Plants' roots need both water and air. You can see in my garden there's some earthworms that are living in here. Those are going to help the food or help the soil stay aerated and nice. So you can leave those guys in there. They're a friend of the garden. I also added a little bit of compost. I do that every fall, and compost is simply broken down living material. So you can have leaves, it can be food, it could be grass clippings, anything like that. You kind of pile it up in a big pile, and it eventually decomposes and forms something that looks like soil but is a little bit different. And so I'm going to show you, this is the last little bit of my compost left. You can see it's usually a little bit darker than soil. It's nice and crumbly. Smells really good if you were about to smell it, and it doesn't look anything like the ingredients that went into there. So what I do is I usually add every fall about 1 inch or 2 of compost to my garden beds, and then either I leave them unplanted and I wait till the spring, or I go ahead and plant something like garlic. So here's the garlic that we're going to plant today. This I actually bought from the store, but once you start to grow garlic, you can actually plant the leftover garlic that you actually grow. So I'm going to show you what that means. This one I'm just going to cut open. Okay, so this is just a regular garlic bulb like the one you would see in the supermarket. You guys are probably familiar with that. Mom or dad might buy that to cook up with your pasta or your veggies or whatever it is. This is an organic garlic bulb. That means it hasn't been sprayed with any chemicals. I like to use organic garlic. I like to use everything organic in my garden, but especially garlic, because the bulbs from the supermarket a lot of times are sprayed with chemicals that make them not grow. And that's because obviously if you're buying garlic to eat, you don't want it to be sprouting in your kitchen cabinet. Okay, so we're gonna take this bulb and we're just gonna break it up. This is called a garlic clove. So let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 garlic cloves in 1 garlic head. So that means we're gonna get 9 garlic plants out of that 1 garlic head. And we're basically ready to plant them. We're gonna break them up like this. We're gonna leave all this kind of papery skin right on there. That's gonna protect it. The direction that you plant the garlic is really important. So if you see there's a pointy end, this is where the stem is gonna grow out of. And then there's kind of a flat, dryish end, and that's where the roots are gonna grow out. So you gotta plant your garlic root side down and stem side up. Otherwise, if you plant it upside down, it's gonna have to grow like in reverse direction, and we don't wanna do that. Now, I wanna make sure you give your garlic enough space when you plant it. So there's an easy way to do that, which is just basically spacing your garlic about a hand's width apart. Now, if you're only 3 or 4, you might wanna do hands width of 2 hands, but any sort of halfway grown-up person to a grown-up should have a big enough hand to do this trick, because garlic is not super fussy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay kind of the end of our hand against the edge of the bed, and that is where we're gonna plant our first garlic, wherever your fingers reach you. So I'm just gonna kind of lay it there just to see where it ends up. We don't wanna put it too far against the edge either, because we wanna give it a little bit of space to grow a nice big bulb. The next one, we're gonna put the back of our hand and we're gonna space it here, where our fingers land, and then I think we can fit a third one here. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We can kind of follow our line. We're gonna kind of go this way with our hand, so we know that it's gonna go right about here. And then we can just kind of set the other ones up right in line, so we have nice, evenly spaced rows. And there we have our 9 garlic. And now we gotta actually plant them a little bit deeper in the ground. Since it's the fall, we wanna get them a little bit deeper than normal seeds. Normal seeds, you just plant barely at the surface. This we wanna get down there a little bit because we want it to stay nice and safe during the frost. So basically you kind of stick your fingers in maybe about halfway deep, dig a couple inches in, root side down, and just kind of pop that garlic clove right in there, nice and cozy, and then we cover it right up. And it's as easy as that. And if you have nice soft soil, it goes really fast. And that's all that it takes. Here is a garlic plant. And so this is the bottom of the soil right here. This is the stem. It's gonna pop out of the ground like a green little grass shoot almost. And then it grows nice and tall. It grows about maybe a foot or 1 to 2 feet maybe tall. And then depending on what kind of garlic you plant, this is hardneck garlic. So it grows actually this, can you see this like skinny swirly thing that's growing out? That's called a garlic scape, and that's actually a flower. But before the flower opens, you can actually cut it off and eat it. You can saute it up and eat it with your dinner just like you would normal garlic. So you can actually eat the garlic scape and then the garlic. So right about in our area of New Jersey, garlic is ready to harvest right around July 4th. So it's gonna take that long to grow, all the way till July 4th. And then you're gonna see this green plant, it will be about halfway dead. It'll kind of look brown and crunchy, and that's when it's time to dig it up. So you actually dig it out of the ground, and this whole plant will come out, and there'll be a nice garlic bulb, just like this, not in the bag of course, right on the bottom of there. And then you kind of let it dry up, and then you can trim it, and then you have it to eat with. And then possibly you guys can experiment with some cooking if you're able to grow your own garlic. So now that you know you can plant garlic right from the garlic that's in your cupboard in your kitchen, there's a few other things that you can actually find right in your own kitchen that you can do some experiments with and plant and see if you can grow your own food. One of those is a potato. So I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that sometimes if your mom or dad has like a bucket of potatoes or a bin of potatoes, some of them will start to sprout, and we call those eyes. The eyes are actually the stem of the potato plant. It's the potato telling you, I want to grow, I want to produce more potatoes. And so just like you plant the little garlic clove and it forms a whole bulb of garlic, you can plant a tiny piece of potato that has 1 or 2, maybe even 3 eyes on it into the ground, and it will grow and produce a whole bunch more potatoes. So I wanted to show you what that looked like. So there's this teeny tiny potato that was left in the ground. Can you see it down here? This really tiny potato. And I forgot it was in the ground. I dug all the potatoes out and this guy was left. And it started to grow. So it formed an eye right on the side of the potato. And then it started to grow into this stem. And now this is a potato plant. And the way that you see this, you can see this part is all underground. I dug it out for you guys. And all you see is this green potato growing. So after a while, just like the garlic, this will start to get dry and brown and brittle and die back. And when that happens, your potato is ready. So you can actually dig it out and you'll get like a whole handful of potatoes right out of the ground. So that's a fun experiment. Another one that you could do are scallions. Now, have you ever bought a scallion at the store? This is kind of what it looks like. Mine is, of course, a little dirtier than the one that you buy from the store. But oftentimes a scallion, which is kind of like an onion, has this white bulby part, and then it has a green stem with some leaves, and it has these roots still attached to it when you buy it from the supermarket. So what you can do is, when you're ready to have your scallion in your salad or cooked up with your dinner, all you have to do is cut it right about here. So you're gonna cut this little root piece off, and then you can eat this whole top piece and take these roots and actually plant them right into your garden. And within a few days, you give it a little water, within a few days, it's gonna start sprouting up green sprouts. And what you can then do is just cut them right off of the plant like this, and it will continue to grow. Or you can pull the whole thing out and eat it all over again, because some people really like this white end. But if you just keep cutting off the green leaves, it'll just continue to grow for you all season long. And you can actually do that right in your windowsill over the winter, or you can do it outside in the middle of the spring. So I hope you'll try some of these experiments, peek around your kitchen, see what you have going on there, and see if you can grow any food of your own.